You probably convert 90% of people that walk in your door. Bad news. Every gym does that, and it isn't special. What you have to understand about sales in CrossFit Gym, if someone took the time to fill out a form, drive to your facility, and walk in your door, the likelihood of them buying is very high. When someone comes in and doesn't buy, it's almost guaranteed to be your fault. Most box owners hate selling because we got into this game to change lives, and it feels like we shouldn't have to sell that. We have to get over the idea that if someone doesn't immediately see what we see, then they're stupid or they're not an ideal client. Our job when someone is in the buying cycle is to shepherd them through the process like a Sherpa climbing Mount Everest. We're gonna do all of the hard work for them so they can just make it to the top. I'm gonna outline 8 steps to massively improve your sales process, all the way from when someone lands on your website up to the point that you collect their payment. Contrary to popular belief, sales doesn't have to be sleazy, painful, or some sort of verbal judo match. Just trust me. Where you beat them into submission with your mastery of overcoming objections. So I'm gonna show you how to reduce friction, maintain control of the process, and create an offer that has them signing up for next year's CrossFit Open. First, let me give you an example of what removing friction looks like. It could be something as simple as tap to pay or something like what arcades are doing now. My kids were recently at an arcade with my parents because grandparents say yes to absolutely everything.
Grandparents get to say yes.
And arcades have gotten really smart over the years to increase the volume of transactions that happen inside the arcade. They moved from cash and coin machines to rechargeable cards with preloaded money. And now they have wristbands with money preloaded on them, so all kids have to do is wave their hand in front of the machine and voila. Hours of Halo at the expense of my parents' retirement account. So let's start with the first point of friction that most affiliates aren't even aware of. Step number 1, what is the UX or user experience on your website like? There are endless numbers of optimizations that you can make on your website, but here are 3 that you can update very easily. Start with pictures. What do your pictures look like? Are they pixelated? Are they low quality pictures from 2007? Are they high quality 4K pictures of people doing things that everyone else can do? Ditch the photos of your best clean and jerk and people with veins popping out of their heads, and get photos of people doing what people can do. Box step-ups, kettlebell swings, burpees, air squats, and other simple movements. Throw in some photos of people laughing, interacting with the coaches, and that will really beef it up. Next, CTAs, or calls to action. This is the form you have on your website that asks someone to give you their information so you can reach out to them, or they want to download something. Way too many boxes have obscure buttons hidden in one place on the website, or they simply just don't have enough of them. There should be virtually no place on your website that doesn't have a clear call to action. And simple is always better. Remember what I mentioned earlier about friction? Nothing creates more friction than a 10-click sequence for someone to book an appointment and fill out a waiver. And you might be saying, but people fill it out all the time. Yes, people do fill it out, but way more people don't fill it out because it takes too much time or they just don't want to. You only need 3 things: name, email, and phone number. Everything else can be done later, and we have to make it easier for us to reach out to them. And most people have their phones set up so that it will auto-populate that information, and it takes even less time for them to fill it out. Take your prices off the website. Prices on the website turn off enough buyers to make you have that vomit feeling after Fran. Most people know roughly what CrossFit, Orange Theory, and F45 cost these days. If people are shopping around, then we want to be able to lead with value and control that conversation because they probably don't know what you do or what you offer. And that tees up the second step. Step number 2, price out of place kills the sale. This can happen in multiple places during a sale, but the first place it happens is when we put prices on the website. If most people know what CrossFit costs, then we don't want to put ourselves at a disadvantage because the box down the street was $20 cheaper and the buyer doesn't know the difference. This is just an unforced error. And if we are actually better than other people in the area, then we need the opportunity to communicate how and why. So if I make it easy for someone to contact me and I have them come in, then I need to avoid one of the cardinal rules of sales, which is step number 3, telling is not selling. Anytime we coach someone in selling and they're losing sales from people sitting right in front of them, we ask them this one question: who does most of the talking? And the answer is usually the person selling. Do not get caught in the trap of telling them about your class schedule, what level your coaches are, what amenities you have, and how much you love CrossFit. They don't care. You are telling them about a bunch of stuff that they can see on your website. They are there because they have a problem that they need solved. And you are telling them about physical makeup of your building and what your coaching staff is about. Remember, it's about them, it's not about you, which sets us up for number 4, the control V. Now there's 2 vectors in a V. The first one is your vector, and that vector leads to a sale. The other vector is the prospect, and that leads away from the sale. The longer you stay on the prospect's vector, the further you get away from the sale. You see, the person who gets control of what vector you're on is the person asking all the questions.
There's too many questions.
So rather than telling them everything you've ever learned about CrossFit, we should be asking them questions about what they want and what they struggle with.
What do you want?
If they ask you about prices before you know what they want, you just counter with a question. Hey, how much is a membership? What exactly are you looking for? And how much do you know about what we do? If you want to establish control right out of the gate, start with questions. Hey, did you have trouble finding the place? Were you able to sign the waiver in the email that I sent you? Can I offer you something to drink? Then you get to the best question of all. What can I do for you and how can I help you? Then just sit back and listen. Like really listen. Let them tell you everything you need to know. And this blends over into step number 5, trial closes. Brian Tracy wrote the book, The Psychology of Sales, and is one of the greatest salesmen of all time. In it, one of the things he talks about are trial closes. It's a simple way of asking questions to give you a sense of how close a person is to buying. Things like, how does that sound? Does that make sense so far? Does that seem like something that you'd be interested in? Would that be helpful? These are all things that will help you align your questions with what they want so that you can help them solve the problem that they're struggling with. And if you do that well, eventually you'll get to the dreaded question that every box owner gets cold sweats over and lies awake at night hoping to avoid. How much does it cost? So I introduce you to step number 6, value stacking. There are 2 basic ways to get a buyer's attention. I can offer a low price, AKA discounts, or I can value stack it and put more in the price. We recommend that you discount.
No!
God, no! We recommend that you value stack because the value stack should be filled with solutions to their problem, and it will make what you do inherently more valuable to them. You tell me, what sounds like a better deal? $200 for unlimited classes or $200 for this list of things? Whoa. The value stack works because most people would rather get more for their money than just pay less. Feels better as a buyer to get an increased value when you purchase something. And this sets you up for step number 7, price anchoring. People remember the last number that they hear. We've helped people increase their sales by 200% just by switching the order in which they present pricing. Remember step number 2, price out of place kills the sale? Well, this also applies to how you present the pricing structure. Because people remember the last number that they hear, you want to list your prices starting with the most expensive offer or package. If you have a $1,500 PT package, you pitch that first and work your way all the way down. When you get down to $200, it seems like it's 80% cheaper than where you started. And the sticker shock of $200 is now nothing compared to the $1,500 that you started with. If you're doing all of these things, there is a compounding effect on the conversion rate as people work their way through the sales process. And when you have all of that in place, you go back through and you apply step number 8, remove any and all friction. Fix your website form, simplify your waiver, give them directions with a picture of your front door, send a video tour and a link of your coach's bio so that they know who they're looking for, and think through absolutely every step. There is nothing more painful than doing all of that work and getting to the end only to have you create the most awkward moment.
This is the worst.
And take 5 minutes to collect their payment info while they watch you hand input their credit card info because you don't want to move into 21st century to get a credit card reader. My God, that is cringy. Listen, sales is as hard as you make it, and unfortunately, you're probably making harder than it has to be. But if you think about it the same way you should be thinking about running a great class, then you can make it seamless and pleasant because we both know that joining the box is going to be one of the best decisions that they will ever make. So let's start all of that with a sales process that's easy and designed to make them feel like they've just made the best decision ever. Stop sucking at sales and use these 8 steps to build a better box. I'll see you in the next video.